Today, we're diving into a mental toolkit from writer Mark Manson. We're talking about three powerful concepts that, once you really get them, can totally change how you look at your thoughts, your actions, pretty much your entire life. So, let's get right into it.
Okay, first up, let me just throw this question at you and let it sit for a second. If your mind is the one doing all the thinking, all the worrying, all the planning, then who is it that's watching your mind do all that? Who's the observer? Kind of weird when you think about it, right?
That little mind bender is the perfect way to kick things off. Here's our roadmap. First, we'll break down this idea of the two minds. Then, we're going to learn how to 80-20 your life to get way more done with way less effort. And finally, we'll get into this wild idea of choosing to believe what's helpful, not just what seems true.
All right, idea number one, the two minds. This one is huge. It's the foundation for everything else, and it's all about learning that you are not your thoughts, so they don't get to run the show.
We all have it, right? That voice in your head that just never shuts up. That's what Mark Manson calls mind chatter. It's replaying that dumb thing you said yesterday, worrying about tomorrow's meeting, fantasizing about winning the lottery. It's always on, and most of us just get carried away by the current.
So this is where it gets really interesting. There's a huge difference between your thinking mind and your observing mind. The thinking mind, that's the chatterbox. Manson has this hilarious analogy. It's like a horny dog on a leash, just pulling you every which way. But the observing mind, that's the real you, the one calmly holding the leash. It doesn't create the thoughts, it just notices them.
Now here's the problem. Most of the time, we just glue these two minds together. An angry thought pops into our head, and bam, we decide I am angry. We let a temporary feeling completely take over our entire identity.
But check this out. What if instead of saying, I am angry, you just made a tiny shift and said, I am feeling anger? I know it sounds subtle, but it is a total game changer. It creates a little bit of space. Suddenly, you're not the anger anymore. You're the one who is experiencing the anger. That puts you, the observing mind, right back in control.
So how do you actually practice this? Here are three really simple exercises. First, disidentify. Just change I am sad to I am feeling sadness. Easy. Second, and this one sounds weird, but thank your mind. When an anxious thought pops up, just go, hey mind, thanks for that thought. You're not fighting it, you're just acknowledging it. And third, my personal favorite, make it ridiculous. Take your most stressful thought and imagine Daffy Duck saying it. I promise, it's pretty hard to take it seriously after that.
Okay, so once you can step back from your thoughts, the next question is, where do you focus your energy? That brings us perfectly to idea number two, 80-20 in your life. This is all about getting maximum bang for your buck in everything you do.
The whole idea really just boils down to two simple numbers, 80 and 20. This is the core of a powerful concept known as the Pareto Principle. And you're about to see that it's, well, pretty much everywhere.
So the story goes, this Italian economist, Vilfredo Pareto, noticed something weird in his garden. About 20% of his pea pods were producing 80% of his peas. And then he started looking around and realized, whoa, this 80-20 split is everywhere. In business, 80% of the sales come from 20% of the clients. In life, 80% of our results come from just 20% of our efforts.
I mean, just look at this. A tiny focused input, that vital 20%, is responsible for this huge, massive output. And think about it in your own life, right? You probably wear 20% of your clothes 80% of the time. You probably get 80% of your joy from 20% of your friends. The goal isn't just to work harder, it's to work smarter by focusing on that super powerful 20%.
So let's make this real. Ask yourself these questions and be honest. Who are the handful of people who bring you almost all of your happiness? At work, what are the few tasks that actually move the needle? What are the few things you own that you actually use and love? And let's flip it. What are the 20% of your habits that cause 80% of your problems? Answering these questions shows you exactly where to put your energy. And, just as importantly, what to stop wasting it on.
Okay, once you've figured out what that important 20% is, you need the right mindset to actually go after it. And that leads us to our third and, honestly, maybe the most profound idea. Believe what is helpful, not just what you think is true.
So check out this little parable. A guy gets lost in a blizzard, he's about to die, so he prays to God for help. A few minutes later, a couple of Eskimos find him and save his life. Later, he tells the story and says, well, God didn't do a thing, the Eskimos saved me. Someone else hears that same story and says, wow, God sent the Eskimos to save you. It's the exact same event, but two totally opposite interpretations, all based on what they already believed.
This happens because of something in our brains called confirmation bias. Basically, our brains are wired to find proof for what we already think is true. It's like your brain is a bouncer at a club and it only lets in the evidence that's on the VIP list of your existing beliefs. Anything that contradicts them, it gets left outside.
Manson gives this incredible example from when he was a dating coach. He'd have these clients who were good-looking, successful guys, but they had this deep-seated belief that they were unattractive. So when a woman was clearly interested in them, they literally couldn't see it. Their brain would just filter it out and relabel it as, oh, she's just being polite. Their unhelpful belief created its own reality and completely sabotaged them.
So it all comes down to asking yourself one incredibly important question. The next time you catch yourself thinking, I'm not good enough for that job, or I'm just an anxious person, I want you to stop and ask, is this belief useful? Does it actually help me to believe this? Does it move me forward, or is it just holding me back?
Okay, let's bring this all home and put these 3 ideas together into your new mental toolkit. Because they aren't just random concepts, they actually work together as a complete system for managing your inner world.
Let's look at how these tools connect. First, you start with the two minds idea. That gives you the tool of observation. You can finally step back and detach from all that mental chatter. Once you have that clarity, you can use the 80-20 principle as your tool for optimization. You can clearly see the 20% of things that really matter. And finally, with that focus, you use your last tool, curation. You actively choose to build beliefs that empower you, like I am capable of handling what's important. You see the flow? Observe, optimize, curate.
And that brings us to the final, powerful question to leave you with. Since so much of what we call truth is really just a story, a perspective that could be debated, why wouldn't you choose to argue for the side that actually helps you? Why not choose the belief that makes your life better?